we're gonna do a sprint here when it comes to the live stream today, because wow, did you all see my latest video? If you haven't yet, then I encourage that you go and check it out, because I'm basically going to be talking about that in the video, but the video is going to be a lot more succinct. So I appreciate every single one of you. I know I'm not going to be live for too long. As I always do, over-prepared, and I now have less time to actually do the live stream. But at the same time, it's going to be a really good jam-packed show. It's going to be really, really good. So please make sure to send some likes. Good morning, Kantisa. Good morning, Kate. Hello. So this is going to be a jam-packed live. And so I'm going to really hit the ground running here. I will probably repeat myself quite a lot. And I've already released a video actually talking about this. Though, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it here. So please make sure to send some likes, get the stream started. I won't be on for too long, but I did want to at least share some of this. So yesterday, there was a lot of shenaniganry that went on in Congress. You all know, well, I was going to say you all know the Epstein files, LOL. So this is here. Let me give you a brief breakdown here. This is why people hate politics. I made a whole video specifically talking about that. This kind of crap is why people hate politics, because it's all about virtue signaling. It's all about symbolism. It's all about marketing and branding and positioning. It's all about the political position in regards to where you are. It's not actually about justice. It's not about actual policy. It's not actually fixing stuff. A lot of times politics completely turns into a game, and politicians know this, and some even delight in it. And this is where it gets so childish here. So, as you all have maybe heard, there are a lot of victims of Jeffrey Epstein's sex crime ring that are coming forward talking about, hey, this has happened to me, here's my experience, I really want these files to be released. The federal government knows so much more about this, and they're not doing anything to actually release it to the public. We need the executive branch to actually do their job and release their release their portion of the Epstein files. The judicial branch has done some. It's up for the executive branch to really carry it home from here on. And basically, you've had all these victims of, Epstein's awful, sex crime ring that are like, yeah, we need to release these files. Well, instead of actually doing anything tangibly to help the American people, yesterday, MAGA Republicans, all MAGA Republicans, with the exception of a few, literally said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to pass this thing saying that we're going to continue the investigation through the House Oversight Committee. But that's not releasing the files. That is not passing a piece of legislation saying the files should be released, put on a website for all people to see. No. This is just a stalling delay tactic. This is an illusion of progress. This is meant to pacify the American people. MAGA Republicans seriously think the American people are so dumb that they're going to accept this as progress, when all in reality, they just approved a symbolic measure saying, yep, we're going to continue investigating Epstein. Dude, that's not changing anything from the status quo at all. So let me break all this down here. House approves symbolic signal of support for overnight Epstein's investigation. Republican leaders hope to appease their rank and file with the measure, which has no practical implications. Let me actually go to the resolution here. So the whole idea was to actually just pacify the American people. They're like, oh yeah, well, let's do this symbolic measure vote, write up a little piece of, a resolution saying that we're going to continue being dedicated to working on restoring justice, blah, blah, blah. Crap! It's all just crap. So what you see right here is agreeing to the resolution to continue investigating the Epstein files. Notably, this is not a vote to disclose the Epstein files. This is a tactic being like, oh yeah, we're just gonna... They didn't even need to do anything like this. But see, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, was like, ooh, yeah, we have a bipartisan consensus that really want these files to be released. So you know what we're going to do? We're just going to draft this quick little resolution. We're going to draft this quick little resolution. They didn't even have time to give it like a name or a number here. And this resolution, if you look at the fine print, is like, this is directing the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform to continue its ongoing investigation into the possible mismanagement of the federal government's investigation of Mr. Jeffrey Epstein and Miss Ghislaine Maxwell. You do realize that that is not what the Epstein victims are calling for. That's not what Americans are calling for. We don't want a hollow, stupid resolution to be like, yeah, we're going to continue working on it. You're not even working on it, because if you were working on it, you'd be releasing the damn files. But no, you won't even do that. You won't even do that. See, and this is why people hate politics, because it's all about this symbolism crap. It's all about, oh, well, we're working on dedicating to restore. You know those people that will basically say a whole bunch of emotionally charged buzzwords, but not actually say anything at all? You see it with like business speak on marketing websites. It's like, we're ensuring justice to the utmost accountability to really create an inclusive community that is results driven, that is going to be pack the house with justice for times to come, and use efficiency in order to achieve maximum success. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? This is what politics often does. Oh yeah, well, we're really doing all of this to like really help. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're not doing anything. You're putting out a hollow resolution saying that we're going to continue working on it when they don't even need a resolution to continue what they're doing. But see, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, was like, you know what? We need to at least do something so that the media can maybe spin it a little bit so that it looks like we're doing our job releasing the Epstein files. They think Americans are dumb. What they're trying to do is they're trying to pacify the American people. They're trying to pacify us and to stop asking for justice. That's what they're trying to do. You know how babies have little pacifiers in their mouth? That's what our government's trying to do. They're like, stop talking about it. Shh. It's like, no, we're not going to stop talking about it. We're not going to stop talking about it. So this was the legislation here. The Committee on Oversight and Reform is directed to continue its ongoing investigation. Yeah, but that's not what the victims were calling for. That's not what the victims were calling for. So when you see this is not a vote to release the Epstein files. I know it might seem kind of like, wait, what? This is a resolution that says that they are directing the Oversight Committee to continue their investigation of the Epstein files. But let me just note, like, this whole thing was completely irrelevant. The measure has no practical implications because the House Oversight Committee panel is completely free to continue its probe without any further action from the House of Representatives. So this is just purely a stunt. And see, this is the thing. This has happened by both parties, but I'll be clear. This happens so much by the Republican Party all the time. They think that their voters are dumb enough to just fall for this kind of crap. Y'all, if you're enjoying the live, please make sure to send some likes. And so, again, it has no practical implications. And this YouTube comment really nailed it in regards to talking about this. They said, just so everyone in this thread is clear about it, the resolution that just passed only calls for the House Oversight Committee to continue working on the issue. The measure that the Epstein victims actually want is a different one, sponsored by Representative Ro Khanna, a Democrat out of California, and Representative Thomas Massie, a Republican out of Kentucky. And that is the discharge petition that would actually force a vote on the House floor in order to disclose these Epstein files. Good morning, C-Bar. Hello. Hello. I'm the only one talking about this? What do you mean? What? No! Why is that happening? Here's the thing. This is pure politics. And this is why the American people are like so upset. They're like, I know people in my personal life that are like, ugh, politics is so stupid. It's like, it's full of a whole bunch of crap all the time. And it's just all a childish game. And I'm like, look, yes, it is. It's stupid. It's utter nonsense, bullshit, and stupid most all of the time. Why? Because our lawmakers, instead of actually voting to release the Epstein files, they're like, yeah, let's put through this like super hard hitting resolution calling on, justice for all these people. It's like, no, we want actual action. We don't want promises. We don't want strongly worded letters. We don't want some rhetorical BS. We want action. We want deliverance when it comes to policies. We don't want some sort of illusion of progress. And the Trump administration's been so good at this. They're like, oh yeah, let's rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. What did that do to lower the price of eggs? What did that do to tackle inflation? What did that substantially do to fix anything in this country? Nothing. And so this is what our government does, and I can understand why people are so fed up with it. They're like, someone needs to let everyone know that the Republicans here, the 212 vote, are the ones who don't want any more files released. And this is all in contrast, and there's so many other comments here. Not good enough. Vote on Massey's discharge petition. We want the passage of the discharge petition, not that garbage. This discharge petition basically would force the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, to put up a vote to disclose the Epstein files. And so when you see this as, oh yeah, well, the House passed this thing that says that they're going to continue on their investigation into the Jeffrey Epstein case, you do realize what that means is that they are affirming the status quo. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Basically, they have just said, oh yeah, well, we're going to continue our investigation. That's not what people want. They improve a symbolic signal of support. They're saying, oh yeah, well, we're going to continue our investigation. And this is what Speaker Mike Johnson wants Americans to believe. Like, oh yeah, well, they just passed this thing saying that they're releasing the Epstein files. No, that's not what this is. They're saying, yeah, well, it's basically a continuation. Let me give you an example. Let's say that there is an investigation into, a lawmaker, or an investigation. Let's say that Oprah did something crazy and there's a congressional investigation into it. Instead of releasing the documents, they said, oh yeah, well, we're just going to continue. We're going to pass a measure through Congress to say that we're still investigating Oprah. It's like, okay, so you're not doing anything other than writing on a piece of paper that you're going to continue a declaration saying that you are still doing your job. And this is why, again, the politicians, specifically Republican politicians, seriously think you're stupid. Republican MAGA politicians think that Americans are stupid. This is the kind of crap that instead of doing anything to substantively deliver for the American people, they're like, yeah, let's put together this little declaration saying that we're continuing our investigation. Or, you know what you could do? Actually put together a piece of legislation that says, yeah, well, we're releasing the Epstein files. We're calling on Trump and the FBI and the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. Here is our resolution saying we are forcing you to do this. But guess what? They won't do it. Why? Because Daddy Donald Trump doesn't want it out there. The fact that, he doesn't want it out there so much, I'm just like, he's so implicated in it. So, I mean, you basically, in addition to all of this, you are having Jeffrey Epstein survivors say, yeah, well, you know what? If the federal government is going to continue to fail us, oh yeah, they have their oversight committee. But what is the oversight committee even doing? What are they even doing? Are they actually conducting any real oversight? Are they subpoenaing people to actually speak before Congress? Are they doing anything to, grease the wheel to release the files? No. Oftentimes, you can have an oversight committee that, in some cases, it's just a performative action. It's just a performative thing to, pacify people into thinking something's getting done. And see, this is the thing. As someone who graduated with a degree in political science, this happens so often. They'll create some sort of group or commission or something to investigate. They don't actually like to do action. a lot of politicians, which are often bribed, they take a lot of money from wealthy, wealthy insider like strategists. They like to just continue the status quo because it makes them money or it helps them be reelected. It doesn't actually change the needle. Going into Washington wanting to change things is so hard because Washington culture is already so ossified in that sense. You have the consultants and the business leaders and all these people that donate so much to their preferred politicians that it really doesn't change anything. But if it does change, it changes to benefit the wealthy. And this is where, like, the people that are involved in this Epstein crime ring scandal, everything, are probably the wealthy, well-connected people, like Donald Trump. So, like, they obviously don't want this to happen. So it's just frustrating for them to try and hoodwink the American people into thinking that there's any sort of progress going on, when in reality, it's just an illusion that is meant to pacify people into accepting the existing status quo, which is so annoying. And we, as the American people, deserve so much better. If what I'm saying is really just resonating, then just type yes in the chat. Okay, this doesn't need to be a divisive issue. This doesn't need to be, something where people are, arguing or whatever. But if you are like on the exact same page and you're nodding along and you're like, if we're on the same wavelength, literally just say yes in the chat. Just say yes in the chat. I only asked once. We don't want an oversampling, but like just say yes if you're totally on the same page as where I'm at. Because this is how a lot of Americans are feeling. The reason why I do my live streams, of course, I'm here to give you information and share, some of my opinion, which you never have to agree with. But it's also to put words to some of what people are feeling. Like, with all of this happening, it's, as someone, you might not be super, like, politically informed, but you're like, yeah, what you're saying is, like, really putting words to my thoughts here. It's like, yeah, I'm glad I can help in that instance. But I do want to bring up a couple other things, and I'm going to have to go here in 6 minutes. So, of course, the Epstein, victims are speaking out. You've had 6 victims and 3 family members of Virginia Giuffre who have been basically talking a lot more about this. I specifically, talked about this yesterday, some of what they were saying. But what was really interesting was this morning, I was actually looking through, and this is going to probably hit a nerve for some people. This is interesting. One of the Epstein victims that has come forward is like, yeah, I voted for Trump. She said, quote, I put my hope in him. And now she's like, I don't know why he's retracting on some of this. Now, let me just pause here. It is going to be a very easy knee-jerk reaction, and in some cases it's rightfully so, to be like, well, you effed around and you found out. You vote for a sexual assaulter, you might end up being that. Like, if you vote for the leopards eating faces party, at some point the leopards are going to come and eat your face. And that is very true. Though, as someone who grew up in a very Christian, conservative Southern home, I was literally kind of like, I wasn't groomed to be an altar boy, but I was pretty close. I will say that some of these people, the disconnect between their actions and their beliefs is so, it's so disconnected that it seems absurd to many people. And as someone who's raised a part of that, where like it's so disconnected, you're not going to understand it unless you were brainwashed into it. And as someone who was brainwashed into it, it's important, if we constantly browbeat these people and say like, and constantly like preach down to them, in some cases it makes them double down on their crazy ignorance, and that doesn't give them any room for growth. Though at the same time, we can't just give them a pass and be like, oh, you've finally now seen the light, so we're going to give you everything. We're going to completely, absolve you of all of your... No. It's important to give these people space to grow, but also give them a lot of tough love. Does that make sense? Y'all understanding? it's important for us to not just dive in as in like, well, you F around and you find out. It is such a knee-jerk reaction to want to do that. I wanted to do that. I'm like, well, you voted for someone like Donald Trump, who said that if Ivanka wasn't his daughter, perhaps he'd be dating her. The same guy who at one point was like, during Howard Stern interview, was like, I hate to bring this up, Donald, but you know about sexual predators like that, right? And Donald Trump's like, right. And Howard Stern's like, because you are one. He turns to his daughter and it's like, yeah, it's true. So while it is easy for us to want to be like, well, you effed around and you found out, that is a very valid response, and a lot of that is warranted. We can't go so far to the point where it makes people shut down by opening up about this. Because here's the thing. I was raised as a Republican. I was raised that way. It takes a lot of growth for you to come out and admit to yourself that you were brainwashed into something. It takes a lot of personal growth and character to actually say, yeah, I was incorrect about a lot of stuff. I was hoodwinked into believing certain things. The further you are in a cult, the harder it is to wake up because you have to confront more and more inconvenient information. So what I'm specifically pointing out here is when it comes to situations like this, you're like, well, yeah, you vote for the leopards eating faces party. The leopards are going to come around and eat your face. So don't whine and complain about that. But again, as someone raised in that, there's a huge disconnect between these people's actions and between these people's supposed beliefs. And it's important for us to give them some tough love, but not to the point where then they actually reverse course and double down as a fight or flight mechanism. So it's important for us to do a little bit of both. So let me do some of this. Girl. And like, let me just share some people's reactions here. The Fell For It Again award. Very, very valid. There are other people that shared these kinds of memes here. They're just like, his loyalty was never to truth, but only to himself. This was her specific quote. I voted for Trump, and for him to say that what he's saying is beyond me. I put my hope in him, and he's supposed to protect us. And for him to say that this is a joke and that it's sides, it's not sides. We'll say time and time again, none of us up there are accusing him of anything. There is no one that is accusing him of any wrongdoing specifically. So the fact that he's saying it's all a hoax, well, who are you hiding it for then? Because it's not you. Then who is it? And that scares me. Who is it? And as more and more people were like, if you vote for someone like that, eventually it's going to come around and get you. So it's important to point all of that out in context, and Donald Trump, she says that, he's not implicated or guilty specifically within this, but let me just point some of this out here. He made a promise on the campaign trail to release the Epstein files. One thing I actually agree with him on. One thing I truly agree with him on. This didn't really come back up and wasn't super relevant because of everything that happened. It didn't become super relevant because Jeffrey Epstein was gone and Ghislaine Maxwell was in prison. This thing only really blew up when Elon Musk was like, yeah, Trump is in the files. And so the fact that Republicans are kind of like the dog that caught up with the train and then were underwhelmed. They promised to release these files, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh crap, our people are implicated? Oh yeah, no, we can't do that. So yeah, it might implicate Bill Clinton. It might implicate some other people, but if it also implicates Trump, they're like, ooh. How about you release the files to implicate Bill Clinton? Unless you're worried about your people. And see, that's the thing. Many Democratic voters were like, okay, sure, yeah. Oh, Bill Clinton. Oh, what a tragedy. We don't care. We want the criminals exposed no matter who they are. So, and you can really tell that Trump is guilty when it comes to the Epstein files because he was like, yeah, I'd release them, but you don't want it to affect people's lives because there's a lot of phony stuff in there. There's a lot of phony stuff within that world. And then the reporter asked, well, do you think that would increase trust, disclosing them? And he's like, yeah, I don't know as much about Epstein as, disclosing others. And I'll just point out, Trump was also on Epstein's flight logs. So you can see here, it's kind of faded, but you can see Donald Trump. And yes, I know for all these weirdos are going to comment in here, yes, Bill Clinton was as well. Whoop-de-doo. Put him in the same cell as Trump. Not going to see me argue about it. There's evidence to convict, then go for it. Boo-hoo! Like, it's just fascinating. So here are all the things where you can see all of that going on here. And I am over time here, though I want to mention just a couple more things. So with all of this being said, obviously Donald Trump is, and to further show how, here it is, to further show how guilty he is, Trump even said at one point that he never had the privilege of going to Jeffrey Epstein's island. We know he's a prolific liar, but why are you even saying it as like, oh, I never had the privilege of going. I never had the privilege of going to his island, and I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. One of your very good moments? So, have you had many bad moments? Like, he just implicates himself. Privilege is not quite, is quite the word choice, is what Senator Tina Smith said. But, again, just want to point it out here. All of this is happening. Meanwhile, this morning, I wake up, and this is what Donald Trump is doing. So all of this is coming out, this whole thing slamming Republicans about the Epstein files. You know what he does? Donald Trump thinks that Americans are so stupid that he's going to go on this, as they said, digitally altered posting bender, basically putting up a whole bunch of stuff here. So as a way to deny, deflect, distract, the 3 Ds that Donald Trump is so good at, like, he's just gonna completely go on a posting bender, being like, oh, look at this, look at this. He's throwing as much spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And this is what Donald Trump does whenever there is danger, whenever there's something that's really coming out about him, his connections, or his scandals, or his corruption. You know what Republicans like to do? Instead of trying to defend, because they can't defend it, they try to go elsewhere. But it's so obvious and childish at this point, the fact that, like, he's talking about Rosie O'Donnell. I don't even know who Rosie O'Donnell is. She's not, like, even relevant anymore. He's posting videos like this with Adam Schiff. He's doing digitally altered things like this. It's humiliating. Donald Trump thinks that Americans are so stupid that, oh, well, let's distract from the Epstein files by throwing up all this stuff. Like, he literally thinks that you're stupid. He wants to pacify you into accepting his corruption instead of actually doing anything to actually hold people accountable. Like, once people wake up from MAGA, let me tell you, that is a heck of a hangover, because you have just been brainwashed for that long. This is classic Trump. Whenever he is about to be exposed or face corruption or consequences of his actions, he immediately will just throw as much at the wall as possible. You thought that was bad? Oh, it gets worse. Here's Donald Trump on Mount Rushmore, out of all things. Like, what? This is Chris Christie and Governor J.B. Pritzker. Like, this is the kind of thing. We teach our children to not do this kind of crap, and then we elect someone like Donald Trump. What kind of a message does that send to kids? What kind of message does that send to talking about decency and being respect? It's just so childish. But he's doing all of this as a way to distract from his obvious criminal ties to covering up the Jeffrey Epstein sex ring scandal. So forgive me if I seem like I'm out of fucks to give when it comes to Donald Trump. You know why? Because this is what classic con men do. Deny, deflect, distract as a way to shield themselves from being exposed. They will do everything they can to throw something at the wall. And the people that fall for it, y'all are the ones that are stupid. I'm sorry. Like, I'm saying this as someone who was raised as a Republican. Don't fall for it again. Get off the train now. Like, you deserve so much better. You deserve so much better than to be fooled by a childish con man whining about everything and then claims that he is super, super strong. Anyway, I need to get to work. I know, I hate to cut it off here, but I need to get to work. I appreciate every single one of you, even if you don't like me. I appreciate all of you. Please make sure to like the stream before it ends. Smash that subscribe button. Seriously, it means so much to that you all are here, support me. Seriously, I love all my moderators. Shout out to Ilisa, Cantisa, Ellie, Kate, Cherie, Ellie. I cannot do any of this without you all. Akicha, Joanna Tech, Jenny, Kate. I love all of you. C-Bar, love you, C-Bar. Cherie, seriously, I could not do any of this without you all. Make sure to go and watch my last video, and please go and share that. I need to get to work. I love all of you so, so much. To all the people who are trying to comment, to insult, and be obnoxious, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you step on a Lego, because, you know, minding your own business is free. So I'm not your enemy, so the fact that people try to constantly... There's a mosquito in my car, and I am not dealing with that. But anyway, I love all of you so, so much. Just remember that you are beautiful, that you are loved, that you are valid, that you are strong, and that you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever, 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 ever dim your shine. I love all of you so, so much. Bye!